Welcome to the Loveland Report and Loan Arranger Show. I am Cleve Loveland, Central Florida's best real estate planner, alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Loan Arranger. Do we have good news this week?
Well, we don't have bad news.
I got a little bit of bad news, but it's good for the buyers. So we're gonna, 6 of one, half dozen of another. I'm gonna talk
good news
about
for somebody.
Yep, we got buyer's market. Central Florida has entered that. We're going to dig into those numbers. I got the inventory numbers. Staging and photos. When you market a property, Bruce, I'm seeing a lot of things being done wrong. I can help you avoid that. And then negotiating. We're going to talk about the best way to negotiate, whether you're a buyer or a seller, and talk about some big mistakes that buyers and sellers make on that. So
let me ask you a question. I've got a client right now that was making an offer on a house that had been on the market for over 90 days. Okay. He wanted to buy it as an investment property. He had his inspections done, and it definitely needed a new roof alongside some other incidental things. The seller did not agree to do any of it. They said, I'll give you $2,500 toward it, and that's all I'm going to do. So he literally just backed out of the deal. He's probably listening to the show right now.
Here's what's really important.
So I'm wondering, what kind of advice would you give? Would you say, back on, go find another one?
That really depends on, this is the problem we have, Bruce. Most realtors, I call it bless your little heart real estate, aren't smart enough to say, look, you got it for X, and X is a great price. Right. Yeah, you need a $15,000 roof, but your price is below market. And it depends on the use. Are you going to,
absolutely,
are you looking to flip it, which is hard? You got to really steal them then. Are you looking to make it a rental? You'll get your money out of it. You want to make it
a rental property.
And so that's where you don't want to overanalyze that. But then that's for the buyer. On the seller side, should they do that? If that buyer walks away, that buyer just gave them an inspection report. They know what's wrong.
Absolutely.
They should disclose it, but it's the next buyer's going to want the same stuff.
They are.
Sometimes I see buyers ask for things that aren't reasonable, like an AC needs to be cleaned and it's only 5 years old and they ask for a new one. Well, I tell them to pound sand.
Yeah.
All right, we'll clean the coils for you. And that's $500 to $700, not $5,000.
So you really have to analyze the whole situation.
The realtors need to guide this.
What's going on, unless hey, if I'm getting the house for $20,000 under value, but he wasn't. He was getting the house for pretty much what it was worth, but it needed an $18,000 roof and probably another $3,000 in incidentals. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to do that.
You could raise the price to cover those things, but if the seller's not going to do that and they're going to end up with the next person, he might be able to come back to that person later on. If the listing agent is smart, he'll advise the seller to do that unless he thinks that number is low. But if that's the only offer. Now, you said it was on the market for 90 days. Has it been at the same price for 90 days? Or did they just drop it a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
All those things come into play. I just had a little scenario where I had somebody saying, well, your house has been on the market for 5 weeks. I said, yeah, and we just adjusted our price 8 days ago, dropped it 3%, and we're the best price per square foot within 3 miles.
And
it's a great house. And and unfortunately, like, I don't know the numbers. I wish I could get it. I know the number of realtors has dropped. We need it to be cut in half in Central Florida because, 70% of them haven't done a deal.
Right.
And then 20% of them don't know how to negotiate because they weren't taught. And this is a new market. And you got to know ask what's reasonable. When I have offers come in really low, and I'll ask the agent, where'd that number come from?
Yeah, where are you coming up with
Between the lines, I'm saying, did you pull that out of your butt?
Well, we see that with clients, but the realtor should know better.
The clients and the realtors should guide them and say, guys, homes in this neighborhood are selling between $550 and $600. Your $500,000 offer is not going to get you anywhere, but make the seller mad. Now, on the other side of that, I tell my sellers, every offer is worth a counter offer. Show them you're willing to negotiate. But, and I hate this because I'll see homes, Bruce, that were listed for $600 and sold for $525.
Yes.
And why on earth would you do that? Assuming there's no major repairs or problems, instead of reducing your list price to $579 and countering at $570. And that's what most realtors are not taught. They have a virtual brokerage. They have no boss. They have no sales manager. They can't watch the team down the hall that sells 20 homes a month and realize this is how you do it right. They get no guidance, and they pass the state exam to get a real estate license. So this is a big problem out there in the industry. So make sure you want to get a good representation, whether you're buying or selling, or you want management for your rental properties or your investment properties. Call me at 407-352-8118 or go to cleveloveland.com. You won't have to worry about that with us.
No, you don't have to
guide you on regular advice like that.
Absolutely. And when you want to get your process started, if you're not paying cash, you're going to need financing. My name is Bruce Woodburn. I'm the Loan Arranger. I've been lending for 35 years. Matter of fact, my anniversary was the 19th, and that gives me
Your
now
mortgage
36
anniversary?
years. Yes, and my wedding
I don't remember the
anniversary.
exact date I actually started
Yeah.
real estate.
Well, I remember it's because it's when I got my first FHA license.
I think I was June of 92.
Yeah.
So that puts me
So
at 32
that
years,
was
33 years.
36 years ago
Yeah,
now.
I just remember
So
my mom fainted when I walked in the office because I had my license for a little while, but I was roaming the countryside, kind of lost and listless there.
well, get your
working some
mortgage
easy jobs.
application started. It's super easy. You know, it's funny. I was talking to one of my clients the other day, Cleve, and I can't look at my application system online and see the same thing that a client does unless I physically go on and apply for my own mortgage. Okay.
Yep.
So I'm always curious. So I ask my clients, how's the process look for you? Was it easy? Was it simple? Was it fast enough? Did it explain things? Did it bring you to the next item? And she said, Bruce, it was the easiest doggone thing I've ever seen. I mean, it just one after another, it just tells you and you just keep swiping and filling in the blank.
That's why they should call you, and realtors should have their clients call you, because I got 3 pre-qual letters last week. And after I called the loan rep on the offer and said, do you have this document? Do you have this document? Oh, no. Because they were very vague pre-qualification letters.
Right.
And the buyer actually had a problem. I'm like, where's the buyer? Have you sourced the buyer's down payment? And the lender thought I was just being so invasive and so pushy.
Gosh.
And I'm like, I need to know this. I'm like, I got multiple offers. And so
you should know it even if you don't.
I know. And so it's kind of the Wild West out there. Your cowboy hat fits in very well. So, but I wanted the numbers, Bruce, real quick. We tipped into an area we probably haven't been in for probably about 13, 14 years.
Yes.
A buyer's market in Central Florida.
Beautiful.
Now, this doesn't mean everybody's losing money on their house. What this means for buyers, you're going to get a little more negotiating depending on the house, depending on the neighborhood. But like I just had one go for cash with multiple offers last week.
It's amazing. It's such a schizophrenic market that we're in right now that you see it's a buyer's market, but you're still seeing multiple offers. And I lost 2 transactions my clients did over the week that bid full price and still didn't get it.
A 7-month, almost a 7-month supply, over a 6-month supply is a buyer's market. And we're at a 6.7%. Or 6.7 month supply, up 70% from last year. A lot more inventory last year. Now, it only takes, I think, these rates dropping below 6.5,
right,
and the spring season coming on. And I can tell from the numbers that came in, we are above. We're going to end up trailing. I think March will probably trail by the number of contracts that went on. The number of new listings is what jumped up really big. January, February were really, really big listing months, more so than March and April of last year, more so than the spring of last year. Usually we have about 3,500 listings come on average. And this year, I think this is people knowing, hey, we got normalcy back in the White House. We got stability in the economy.
Feeling a little bit more comfortable.
And so that's what's good about that. And I just think it's a time, people coming on the market. It's not a bad thing, but it's going to be 6 to 1. You kind of wait for your house to go up in price. The house you're buying is probably going up too.
Well, I think that, I still hear a lot of people saying we're going to have a correction in the market. Okay. Corrections are not crashes. Okay. You see the sensationalism says crash, but I already see the corrections in the market. You're already seeing people dropping their prices a little bit. And listen, buyers, if you're a buyer out there right now, you want to buy, then now is a really good time to buy, because you can get out there and get some closing costs paid. Like Cleve said, depends on the house. If you got a house that's only been on the market for 3 days, you're probably not going to start negotiating where the seller is going to give up a lot.
Yeah.
But if it has been on the market for a couple weeks, you've got a lot of opportunity. You have more homes to choose from, and sellers are going to have to get realistic. Remember how long it took them to drop their prices after COVID? Sellers took them a year and a half before they figured out, like, oh my God, I better start dropping my price. I'm not getting COVID
more
prices.
Denial right now. Right now, we're almost at 3 months on the market. We're about, it's 4.5, it's going to be 2.5 months, 2 months and 3 weeks, as far as the average time on the market for a house, because sellers got a little bit of that denial left in them. Everybody wants a good price.
Everybody wants a good price.
You can't just look up and pull a book off the library shelf and say, where do I price my home? You got to have somebody advise you on that, advise you on how to stage it, how to market it, and what's best for you. What's the best fix up, where to spend your money on that. So all those things we do and help people get the best price.
Cleve Loveland, if you'd like to talk to Cleve about buying a home, selling a home, managing your property, call him now at 407-352-8255. 8118 or cleveloveland.com for Bruce Woodburn, the loan arranger. Get your financing started. Purchases, refinance, construction loans, renovation loans, equity lines. I'm doing a bunch of reverse mortgages right now for some folks that need reverse mortgages. Asset depletion for high net worth people that don't have income. 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com.
Back up. Explain that one. Asset depletion.
Asset depletion. So we've got high net worth people. Okay. Say we got a mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, they're retired. Okay. They got $1 million, $2 million in the bank, but they only make $5,000 a month off Social Security.
Okay.
But they want to buy a $600,000 house. That's not going to cut it. So I can take that asset that's a retirement asset and I can divide that by a factor and use that as income.
Is that new?
Well, it's not new. It's just creative. That's what the loan arranger does to help people with high net worth.
I'm always amazed by all the
it's just creative ways to be able to get things to happen, because you get people come in and they bring in their W-2s or they bring in their income statements from their Social Security. And they're like, we want to buy this house. We've never made a late payment. We have good credit. We have money in the bank, but you don't have the income.
What do you see going on with your builders right now? I know you can get great rates for some of your builders.
Absolutely. Trinity Family Builders, one of my all-time favorite builders right here in town. You can go to webringyouhome.com. I've got a link to their website. You can get rate buy downs, or you can get all your closing costs paid. You can choose which one you want. I like the closing costs because you can take the closing cost incentive and you can still buy down your rate. You don't have to spend it all on a rate buy down. You can spend a little on a rate buy down, get your closing costs paid, and maybe even add a 1-year buy down that even buys your rate down below market.
Most closing costs right now are probably about 3 or 4%.
Well, builders are a little more because they count your deed stamps and title policy.
Yep. But I just think most people are better off padding in closing costs when you're buying a resale or the new home. Most of the builders will cover those for you. You're better off padding that in there and trying to get more money down to have a little lower PMI.
Well, either that or less money out of pocket.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, I got a client right now, they could put down 20, but I said, let's look at just putting down 10%. Your PMI is very low. Why don't we eliminate the PMI and buy the rate down further when it's time to refinance? You'll get more bang for your buck then. Yeah. So it just made sense. So that's, we do the math and we determine what's the best for that client.
Yeah, know your numbers.
Yeah. So, and when we get back, I do want to talk a little bit more about what's going on with interest rates. What is the direction things have been going in? What can we expect in the future? So we've got a lot to talk about in this hour, so you won't want to go anywhere. We got about a minute and a half more.
I want to dig into these numbers a little bit.
Let's talk about
inventory hovering around 5 to 6 months supply. We just tipped a little bit of that with all these extra listings coming on. There's about 600 more listings last month and 600 more listings this month that came on. Right. And that's people just ready to go. The one thing I didn't mention, Bruce, we still got appreciation.
Yes,
most prices are up around 2 or 3% around Central Florida. So that's one thing. People are sitting in their house and they're going to give up their 4% mortgage or their 3.5% mortgage. And okay, they're going to be in the 6s probably. But their house is up $20,000, $30,000
at least.
So, and life happens. We got the 5 Ds. We got the diamonds, diapers, divorce, downsizing, and death. So we got all those things that still affect real estate in some form or another. So I just had somebody downsizing, moving. They're going to live here 6 months out of the year and over in Europe 6 months out of the year. And so we actually one of the builders actually, because they were cash, took a very reasonable offer on one of their homes. It was funny. It was the end of the quarter. They called us.
Yeah.
And so we made an offer. And I was thinking, the buyer's thinking, hey, I want to go a little lower. I'm like, well, I think you should try it because it's end of the quarter. Worst they can say is no.
Right.
They took it. So a great offer, on a great house. And it's funny because you got to know with builders when you're negotiating with them, sometimes if they got a premium lot, they're charging $30,000 to have the water view, and it's the end of the quarter and they got to sell some more homes. So they might take an offer from you, but knowing that is
well, that's what you're looking at. Yep. You're kind of, you're analyzing that situation and saying, here's where we may have an opportunity to get a little bit more.
Yep. So if you have any problems with real estate or thinking about doing any real estate plans this year, you want to make your own real estate plan, call me at 407-352-8118. I'll be working all weekend, or go to cleveloveland.com.
Yeah. Or call the loan arranger at 407-250-9144. That's 407-250-9144, or go to webringyouhome.com. Get your application started. It's a simple, easy process. We can start off with a soft credit pull. No hard credit pull. We can get everything moving along for you. It's simple. It's easy. It's the right time to buy if you're a buyer. Don't go anywhere. Cleve and I will be back in 5 minutes with more of the Loveland Report and the Loan Arranger Show. We'll be right back.